Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's been a couple days since we've talked, and Josh and I, my boyfriend, have gathered the wood that we need to build the beds, and we've kind of mapped out where we want them to be. And then we've kind of just been cleaning up the backyard. There's a lot of stuff that we moved from Josh's storage unit into, he had like a shop space storage unit, and we moved everything here because he had to come out of it. And he's kind of just been like slowly selling some of the stuff that he had in the shop. So I guess I didn't do anything, but Josh has gotten rid of quite a few things. That rear end that was in the backyard is gone. And a truck camper topper is gone. And I can show you guys in a second. It's actually raining right now. Hopefully the beginning of some spring showers, but yeah, it's exciting. And some of my seeds are sprouting. My heart is literally racing. It's my bluebonnets, and honestly, as I'm not a Texas native, but I've been here for a few years, I would say probably it seems pretty accurate as far as the timing. Normally those bluebonnets show up on the side of the highway, like also in fields, not just on the side of the highway, but normally I notice them on the side of the highway in like end of February, early March, after we get a bunch of rain. So it's adding up why I'm getting some seeds. And honestly, after reading the package, it does say that it's not recommended to start them inside. But I was a little excited, I guess. I don't really know where I'm gonna put them. That's the big problem. We have some, like, it's not necessarily like a flower bed or like a garden bed, but all along our fence, there was like a ton of leaf buildup, and it was sort of sitting on our fence. And I kind of like pulled some of that away so that it wasn't directly on the fence. But we have like little wooden borders that are dividing the fence and the dirt. So I think that I might plant some like along the back wall over here, not quite where the garden beds are going to be, but where they're visible, just to kind of get them going. But I think it'll be a while before I need to put them in the ground. But they're looking really, really cute little seedlings. Also on the package it said to like nick them with nail clippers or sandpaper, and so I just got a nail file and like scratched the seeds on the nail file, and I don't know, that's really interesting. They were like really hard, like little rocks. They looked like little rocks. So I wonder like what happens to them in the process of them dropping their seeds when they're done, like how that naturally occurs, if that makes sense. If you know, comment down below. I've been getting a lot of traction on these gardening videos, which is so funny to me because I've been making other styles of content for not a long time, but for the last 2 years I've been trying to like really hunker down and make content whenever I feel like it. So if you're here, welcome. My name is Kelsey, and this is my garden channel, I guess. This is actually a channel for my business account, which I might have to do a little bit of a rebrand, seems like, because if I do end up posting content about my work, I don't necessarily know if my garden girlies and gentlemen are going to enjoy that. So I'll have to maybe pivot, but let me know your thoughts. If you're interested in all of the above, then you found me. You found the girl. I'm the girl, and you found me. Yeah, I'm just sitting in my greenhouse today, just hanging out. It's a Sunday. Josh is helping some of our friends move. And so I'm kind of just hanging out in the garden today. I wanted to post a little like talking video to not only show you the seeds that have started, but also kind of give you an update and a timeline as to when I will be posting the raised bed videos. So today is Sunday, the 8th of February, and in order to get all of my seeds into the garden at a reasonable time, I will most likely need to be getting them into the garden probably at the latest early March. I think our last predicted frost date is March 5th or March 20th, which is a big difference, but I've read different things, and honestly, where we live specifically, it's not quite as like humid as Austin, but it's not quite as like cold as super North Texas, like Oklahoma area. We're kind of in the middle. We also kind of west, so I don't really know. We're kind of in like the Fort Worth area, if you're familiar, but it has been pretty warm the last couple days. You know, t-shirt weather for sure, but yeah, I am excited, and I think that I sort of timed everything kind of perfectly, or at least I think I did. And I think that the garden beds that we're going to be making are going to be perfect for what I need, and I think that I will have a little bit of room to put in other things, which I'm hoping that I can get some of these seeds to sprout, but at the end of the day, it might look like I will be going to my local nursery and picking up a few things, which is fine. I totally don't mind that because it kind of saves me a little bit of work, but all the money that I spent on seeds would be sort of wasted. But it's a learning process. And there's only one way to know. But the timeline for the garden beds. Today is Sunday. Next weekend, we will be having our friend Gabe come visit me from Austin, and he will be helping us kind of move things around. Honestly, I don't think that we need a third person, but sometimes it's just nice to have the extra hands, and he is willing to help, and he is excited to spend some time in the garden with us, so I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, we will be building those then, and I will try my absolute hardest to get footage of the garden beds, because I know that that is super exciting, and I hope that in the midst of all of the chaos of us trying to get things set up, that I don't forget to film stuff. I'm gonna tell Gabe too, so that he can also be on the lookout, because he will vouch for me and look out for me if I forget to film. But yeah, it's looking really exciting. I'm gonna show you guys the spot that we are looking at and kind of the little drawings that we made of what I think is gonna work. Also, Josh, I am good with my hands, and I'm good at planning things, but I'm not very good at the measurements and the like drawing out process. And like I've said in previous videos, Josh does work on cars, and he does a lot more. He's not doing like mechanic work, he's doing like fabrication, like building things from metal. So he knows a lot more about like how to draw a proper template and how to take your thoughts and put them on paper, which is something that I'm not very good at. So I'm gonna show you guys that. I think it was the last video that I made. I said that video was going to be shorter than the one that I had filmed previously, the part 1 of my first garden, and it was definitely longer. And somebody commented, and they were like, I love the short form videos. And I was like, actually, my mistake, because I don't think that I think that video was like 25 minutes. I don't think that that's like short form content. I would say like back in my day, like a 17-minute YouTube video was like cutting it, like you were cutting it close. But I simply don't know how to cut it down. And also I feel like my attention span, like I love long YouTube videos because most of the time I'm putting them on in the background. And honestly, sometimes if it's something that I'm actually interested in, I'm sitting down and I'm watching the full 30-minute YouTube video, sort of like a documentary almost. This is my seed journal, my gardening journal. Miss Becky from Acre Homestead has told me that this is something that she regretted not doing, was writing like full, like writing down what was going on, sort of like an assessment of the garden. So I have been doing that. I actually wrote like literal journal entries, which I do a lot of journaling, so that came pretty easy to me, but I kind of have mapped out the 2 beds that we are going to have. And then I also wrote down every single seed that I have, just to make sure that I have an inventory, because some of the seed packets, I don't even know where they went. And then this is like a general area of like where we are. I printed this out so I could remember, but I've also been doing my journal entries, basically just writing like what I planted and when, and like what the weather is like, because I feel like every single springtime and winter transition in Texas is so vastly different than the others. So I wanted to kind of capture what was happening this year, so that next year, if around this time it was still super cold, or a lot of the times in February we get another snow or another freeze. So I don't know, but I think that after the really cold winter that we just had, a couple weeks ago we had snow, and here it stuck for a really long time. It was freezing for quite a few days, which is like very minimal in terms of like Canadian weather, but for us it was very cold, and we had snow on the ground for a long time. But this is kind of what I'm thinking. I originally drew this kind of formation of the beds to have like a kind of not very deep bed, and it be not very deep and very long, and then sort of like a trellis for I have a pole bean that's sort of like a green bean, and then I don't know if pumpkins go on the ground, right? I want to grow squash too, and I think that I'm going to end up buying some squash seeds and trying to get them going as soon as possible, because I really love squash and zucchini. And I know that every time people talk about like gardening, like there's like memes and stuff, people are like, oh, leaving zucchini and squash on your neighbor's yard porch, or on your neighbor's porch, because you have too much. I don't think that's going to be the case for us, because I love zucchini. Anyways, I had like a trellis going across to like a smaller bed, like a square bed, but after some talking with Josh and some measuring, we took out a measuring tape and kind of measured everything. I think that what's actually going to work better is to have I think it's going to be 2 feet deep, but it's going to be like 6 feet wide. So I'm getting the words mixed up. It's going to be 6 feet long, 2 feet deep. Okay, so that it's sort of narrow. The area that we're working with back there is it's not super big, but I think that having like a narrow area to kind of have 1 plant per section, instead of having it doubled up, like sort of like this picture that I drew, just so that I can access everything better and I have an easier time watering, because I don't think that we're gonna have an irrigation system this year unless unless you guys have other ideas. I don't think that is in the cards for me, but I'm home most days and I think that I can handle it. I think I'm gonna absolutely love coming out here and physically watering my plants, but we shall see when that time comes. But yeah, I kind of drew out everything, and then we kind of scrapped that plan. And then I got Josh in here with the brains, and he sort of like wrote down everything. And this is like a compost bin situation. I do have a rotating compost bin. So this is kind of on the back burner for now because wood is expensive. But I do want like a full-size compost bin to have in the yard to compost like larger yard scraps. But yeah, if you guys, the beds have not been built yet, so I don't know if they're going to be incredible, but I guess if you want some like inspiration, and you can read this, there is that. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. We got the wood, and we did get untreated wood, because apparently that is like very important. And when we were in the Home Depot, I Googled it because I was like, why every like garden bed or like garden video that I watch, they always say like untreated wood, and I was like, I wonder why. Like, you would think being out in the elements, like treated wood would work better, but then I Googled it and apparently they like use arsenic to treat the wood, so not ideal. Not ideal. We don't want that in our food. So yeah, that's kind of the plan right now. I don't really have anything like of substance to show you guys, but things are in the works, and I kind of wanted to update you guys for my mind's sake, but also to give you guys some exciting news to maybe look forward, subscribe so that you can see us building these garden beds. But if you don't, then don't. But if you're here, I'm glad you're here. I don't know if you guys can see my shirt. We went to one of my Josh's, or he's my friend too, Josh's best friend, Hudson. He had a softball game and I wanted to make a shirt to like represent him. So I wrote, I'm just here, and then on the back it says, for HUD. I don't even know if you guys can see it. But when I washed it, the wetters came off. When I washed it, the wetters came off. So now I'm just here. So this is the wood that we bought. Ignore our fire pit. But this is what we bought. I'm pretty sure it's 6 feet. 6 feet, I think. Josh, you can already see he started cutting. But yeah, we got rid of the rear end that was right here. Could not tell you what that is, but I hope that that's going. I don't know. And then I cleaned up back here the other day, kind of moved some leaves around. And then there was a trailer camper right here. I don't even know if I showed you guys that, but it was like a camper top that was sitting here, and that's gone. So it's looking much better here. You can see this has been like kind of destroyed. This fence was going all the way up here, and there was kind of like an entryway here. We plan to make this brick path a bit better. You can kind of see I mean, for lack of better words, they kind of half-ass like laid the brick down here, and I don't really know exactly how we're gonna fix it, but Josh claims that he has a very good idea of how we're gonna fix it. So I think he is going to be very excited to lay that brick down. As you can see, we have a bunch of bricks here. This is about 500 bricks. Can you believe that? It doesn't look like a ton, but I don't even know if we're gonna have enough to, ooh. I don't even know if we're gonna have enough to create a little pathway to the greenhouse, but Josh said that if we can, then he will. But yeah, these are really cool bricks, actually. They're like stamped. They're really old. I think they're almost like 100 years old. But what I did the other day, there was a bunch of leaves back here. I mean, there's still some leaves back here, but I did clean it up. And I didn't even realize that there was like a little pathway here to the hose. So that's fun. I didn't even see that when we were here, because the leaves have been here since we bought the house. So yeah, we're starting to clean things up here, and it's looking really exciting. I also did move my cactuses out here. That's not all of the cactus that I have, but it was really sunny yesterday and I wanted them to enjoy the sun, so I hope that they got what they wanted. I'm also really I really want this to get really tall. I want it to be like as tall as me. I'll probably need to repot it in order to do that, actually, but I really want it to be big, so I'm going to keep it out here. Hopefully it gets enough sun to get super tall. But yeah, that's what's going on back here, and I'll show you guys the back. I'm pretty sure I showed this in the last video, but I didn't do a very good job. So these leaf bags are obviously not gonna stay here. We're gonna be using these inside of the beds. Hopefully I can use all of them. We have quite a few left, but we've been like slowly putting them out for the garbage. There were a lot of leaves back here. I'm pretty sure that there were maybe like 5 years of leaves back here. It seemed like it had not been raked or maintained in a very, very long time. But we are going to have one bed here, So if this is like the walkway, this is the greenhouse, this is a walkway. We're gonna have one bed here, and it's probably gonna go to about here. And then we're gonna have another bed here, and it's going to be not in the way of this electrical box, but sort of right here. You can see the measuring tape that we laid down, but it'll have a little bit of room right there just in case they need to fix it or do whatever they need to do. And this little area back here is going to be really nice because I think that I can, you know, access the greenhouse. I can either come through here or come through the greenhouse if needed, and I can have the greenhouse door open if I'm working out here. And I think I'm gonna get like a small like outdoor table right here so that if I'm harvesting or, you know, need to grab anything from over here, that I can kind of tend to it on the table. You can also see there's like more car parts back there, some tiki torches. It's sort of a junkyard back here, but we kind of, I don't want to say that we're hoarders, but we do like stuff. You can also see this very sad pothos. I had a very large pothos that I got from a local guy in here in Texas who was selling some plants, and it did not survive the freeze. So I put it right here because I don't really know what to do with it. It needs to be taken care of, but that is for a later date.